a governance framework for optimizing the health supply chain in the humanitarian settings in Uganda. That work alone has exposed me to a lot of things on AI, generative AI, a lot of professionals, teams, and yes, I can say with certainty that I am knowledgeable about AI. I have been experienced. I'm still experiencing AI in my work, so that gives me some sort of credibility to speak on this because currently I am also leading the integration of artificial intelligence to health and weight, nutrition and health that has to do with weight management startup. I'm doing current work. So yes, I am able to speak a lot of that. I'll be happy to answer questions as they come to the best of my abilities. If I can't, I'll refer or I'll defer to a time when I can be able to answer that question. So while that is done, we would like to go straight to the agenda of the day, which is the generative AI in health and nutrition. We already know what it is. This is the talk of the town, if I could use that word. And yes, AI is already transforming the health and nutrition industries, the food tech and the likes. There's a lot going on. Professionals are becoming smarter. Professionals are becoming more productive. Businesses are optimizing. Yes, how can we do that? So this presentation essentially will explore these practical applications, the lessons learned, and the future trends of this technology, and how can we tap into that while also not forgetting the ethical frameworks or the ethical considerations to working on AI systems, which is also very important. So I would like us to demystify generative AI. I try not to be very technical in these conversations.
मीटिंग कर रही है मेरी ना खत्म हुई तो कितना टाइम लेके आए हो?
Please mute yourself.
So I try not to be very technical in this presentation because I understand the theme. The theme here are more of the business side and health tech professionals, consultants, and the like. So I know the details can be boring at times, the jargons and the like. So I try to keep it very low. Generative AI, how it works basically is when AI models, which artificial intelligence models, are trained, machine learning, on a vast amount of data. Could be text, images, and the likes. This data, the machine learning just try to understand the patterns in this data, then use that pattern to generate original content, input. This models then produce highly realistic and customized results, from recipes to tailored recommendations. You can call it what? Prior to now, because it is interesting to note that AI didn't start yesterday. It started a long time ago. Generative AI wasn't using transformers. If you hear the name, it's called GPT. It's using a pre-trained transformers. These transformers are able to convert words, input, into a language the artificial intelligence models can understand. These languages are called tokens. It is able to break words into tokens. These tokens are then processed, analyzed against vast amounts of data. So this data could be data on the World Wide Web, could be data found in the training data set. And then it is able to calculate how close is this word. For instance, let's say a word, I am going to work. How does the AI machine model, learning model, analyze that? It looks as, it breaks the word, I am going to work. These are the tokens. I think around 6 or 7 of them. Then let's pick work, for instance. It starts to analyze that token work. Looks for the context around it, words that are closely related to work. And then it is able to now decipher to tell us which one will be the probable next response to work. It goes through a lot of processes I wouldn't want to go into, but I will share the link to a very simplified description of how the transformer works in giving us the responses we see when we use apps like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude AI. So this is how it works. It's being able to do that using transform. Before now, it was using the RNNs to sequentially analyze words, but transformers are the magic right now because they don't do sequentially, it does it automatically, parallel. So it is able to give you faster response in quick time, but that's all about that. But yeah, you give the data to the model learns from the data. This data could be food samples. This data could be things around the law system. You train your model to become a lawyer, train it on cases. It could be about health. It learns from it and it's able to give intelligent responses. Then, what are some of the practical applications of generative AI? Well, in the food and nutrition industry, it creates unique recipes. One of the work I did while I was in Nigeria was to develop recipes for children under 2 in low resource settings. We try to look at how can we develop recipes that are very cheap, that are very nutritious, and then we use the software. It's a parallel programming software. We got this data. Now, this is what the AI would typically do. We did it manually. This software was trained on food databases from the UN, food, whatever, those systems. Their recommended daily intake, the grams, the weight, and then we got the local food. Now, this is we now contextualize it. We got the local food, the food composition data, the dietary frequency, those things, you know what I'm talking about. So then we compare with what is in the database. So if somebody eats this food, what does it correspond to in the database, in the system? How many grams is it? Now, if 100 grams is this, how do we convert to 5 grams of what we recorded in the system? And yes, we were able to then model. Using the modeling software, we were able to get about 4 different types of recipes. We looked for the one that is cheap, that is contextually relevant and more nutritious. Now, this is what the AI would do typically. We are trying to do it ourselves. Now, I'd like to add that whatever the AI is doing, computers are doing already. So what does the AI do? It's an enabler. It's kind of makes our life easier. It's faster, it's smarter. That is why it is important that when we are using artificial intelligence in our businesses and whatnot, we understand that this guy doesn't make decisions for us. We make the decision. So we should supervise it. That is where the aspect of transparency and explainability in the principles of responsible AI comes into play. Because a lot of people just substitute thinking, reasoning to the AI system, which is why the AI sometimes goes bad and we don't even know. We just blindly follow. So, optimizing meal plans, analyzing nutritional content of food, these are some of the areas artificial intelligence, Gen AI, can be useful. In the OB Coach platform, what we do is we try to merge professionals, dietitians, medical doctors with patients who want therapy, kind of a health wellness goal on probably weight management, what and whatnot. So I was brought on board, Gideon, let's integrate AI. So what do we do? And this is what he said, the owner. He was like, Gideon, the AI doesn't do any work for us. The AI just optimizes. The AI just makes things good for us. We are not substituting our doctors, our dietitians with the AI. No, we are not. They are still going to be there. What the AI does is streamline processes, makes it nice, bring personalized nudges, recommendations, while gathering data from clients and the coaches or the doctors or the dietitians. And I find that approach to be really great because what he said essentially is, we are not deploying right away. This guy should be underneath gathering data and being trained to be smarter. So what it means is your AI is as good as your data. The more data it has, the more it is trained to understand the system, the better it becomes. So you see how people start to use these systems in different ways. already you take, there is an app that by just snapping the food, it looks at the food, it analyzes it and tells you this is the meal, this is nutrient content, this is what and what. You don't have to write what you're eating. If you're on a health program or a health goal, it's able to recommend. They are already happening. These are applications that are going on right now. The second says health and wellness, personalized health and wellness and fitness recommendation, tracking progress, providing tailored guidance. Yes. Now, because it works with data, it is able to get information live. As it is happening, it is making decisions. We have smartwatches. The data from smartwatches are synchronized into this system. The moment you registered into the platform, you give it your data, your age, do you have allergies? You know those data you get, your medical history, it takes it. It is able to use this data. Then with your daily activities, it's tracking. With your daily activities. So if you drink water, you should put it in there. I took a glass of water. I took 2 pints of beer. Then it is able to understand your system. And what is your goal? My goal is to reduce my weight. Okay, if you to reduce your weight, you should go less on this, go more on this. It makes this recommendation, health and wellness. If it's to keep fit, how many hours do I go jogging in the morning? This information is being tracked. The same way you have your smartwatch, your Apple Watch, and then it synchronizes into the fitness app and what's the app on the iPhone to get this data. It is able to get this data also from that app straight into the app, straight into the fitness application, and then it is then able to make smart recommendations. It is happening already. We have numerous examples of that. I was thinking I could be able to split my screen into two and list, because I did have a list of some of these organizations, businesses, startups that are doing that, but no, I can't because of the full screen, but it's all good. Then business optimizations, executive can leverage Gen AI to streamline operations, enhance customer experiences, and drive innovation. Yes. One of the systems is Microsoft. Let's talk about Microsoft. I went into the Microsoft plan for my business needs. And one of the offering was you pay additional $25 or something, you get Copilot. And what does Copilot do? Copilot essentially helps you when writing. It helps in almost everything. The Surface Pro released by Microsoft is also able to do or take actions on your screen, record everything. It makes your work smoother. You can use this system to generate reports. You can use these systems to do a lot. Business operations become smoother. Customer experiences are good. Right now, a lot of businesses in the US are now going into AI customer support. And these guys are so smooth that you wouldn't even know it was an AI system. You think it was a person. These are some of the systems. And to make it easy, the way I'm explaining, these systems are already predefined. We have templates already that if you just subscribe to it, you don't have to do so much. Because we have models, machine learning models under the Microsoft Azure system, the GCP, the Google Cloud Platform, even the Amazon Web Services. They have these systems. All you have to do is to ground the systems to your business needs. You don't really have to do so much, but it just means that you have to train it more on your data. So you are contextualizing to your needs. Then you come to see the innovation that comes with Gen AI in your applications. Lessons learned from early adopters: embrace experimentation, where a successful implementation requires a willingness to try new approaches and learn from both successes and failures. The thing is, a lot of people are scared of getting into this because they don't want to fail, or they probably don't have an idea. Well, it is part of learning for us to try new things, to innovate, fail, and learn and move up. The advantage with early adoption is that in the next couple of years, those who are the early adopters become the leaders in that space. And truth being told, AI is here to stay. It is here to stay. It ain't going nowhere, because I remember the news article of a long time ago when calculators were adopted and there was a protest. Students become lazy if calculators are allowed. Well, years from now, we're still using calculators. Students aren't very lazy that much. That's the same resistance we're getting at first. So those who experiment this new are the ones who end up building a very resilient systems. This is because the goal of embracing this technology right now is not even, for me personally, I think it's not even the business improvement and the likes. No, it is the fact that you are gathering data. The data is the key, because your innovation, your AI implementation is as good as the data it has. And this data should be specific to your business, because what we have out there right now is trained on data we don't even know where it's coming from, which is where we talk about the bias in the system, which we're trying to avoid. The bias means if we train data, an AI system with data from just Africa, it can be very relevant to somebody who is not an African, because it's going to give you results that are only localized to Africa. For a business standpoint, it's a good thing, because the moment you have data to your business needs, you are able to serve your customers even better. Prioritizing data quality is the next lesson. Your AI is as good as the data you train it. So, in as much as it is good, the challenge with data quality is enormous, especially for those in the low and middle income countries, because there are no tech infrastructure, no governance policies, no good data. For countries, climes where there are data, good data systems, it is so easy to have a good system. That is why the challenge right now is to start gathering the data, building systems that start having the data. In the case of Obi Coach, our plan is to get the data for like 6 months to almost a year. The system is there learning before we start to push it out there, start making all the headlines about AI and this and that. So that by the time the AI comes out, it's really good because it has enough data to give good predictions, to make good analytics. Then ethical practices, maintaining transparency and addressing potential biases are essential. Yes, this is a very huge topic, because when I think about it, there's a lot that meets the eye. We all talk about this very presentation is all about the advantages, the possibilities with AI, but there's not much that's been said about the ethical practices to keep it in check. There's this socio-technical considerations to artificial intelligence where there are high-level worries about it replacing people. And it's a real concern, because as a business person, I want to minimize expenses while maximizing profit. It is totally normal. But then there's also the consideration about a lot of people go out of the jobs. So these ethical considerations is something that should be looked at. On the issue of transparency, how transparent is the system? Because there's a lot that could go wrong. There's a lot that could go wrong. Some of the challenges or the risk associated with this system is model poisoning. Say, for instance, a business decides to develop this, and hackers are also learning as we are adapting to this new technology. AI is the new frontier. These hackers are adapting to the new frontier too. So there's model poisoning, and this model poisoning happens when malicious actors just introduce bad data sets, corrupted data sets into your training data, and then your model learns something really bad. That AI model is being poisoned. Then what does it lead to? It leads to biases. Now, this bias could also come from bad data, but from those who deliberately poison the model, it's also another risk. And what does this bad data do? It gives you discriminate responses that could be gendered, political, socioeconomic, or even racial. And then decision making at the business level becomes flawed. So a system that's supposed to accurately look at the data of a patient and give you a good response starts giving something else. And everything seems, the system looks fine, but it's been corrupted right from the training data set. What about hallucinations? We've heard about hallucinations. It comes from bad data. This bad data could come from data poisoning or just bad data that doesn't fit the qualities of a good data. And how does hallucination work? An AI model gives you responses. This response looks very coherent. In fact, it follows a series of correct responses, but it is actually false. And so it becomes very difficult to identify and to spot. So the challenges are there. How do you ensure that your data gives the right thing? It is ethical, it's transparent. And when we talk about transparency, we're also talking about explainability. Because if your data is transparent, it should tell us how it got to where it did. And that is why I keep emphasizing the need for human oversight. We cannot substitute our thinking, our business operations, because when it comes to health, when it comes to food, we cannot substitute that with an AI technology that could be saying something that is not right. So there's a lot that has to be done. The case of ChatGPT, he said your prompt, as little as prompting, there's also a risk attached to that. If we are developing systems that has to do with prompting, there's what we call prompt injection, yeah, where a bad person goes to your system and start trying to manipulate your system with bad information, prompt, to make the system start giving false informations. That's prompt injection. Then we'll have another risk of prompt denial of service, whereby this bad information is given to elicit an automatic response within the AI model. And this response is for it to overload the model and crash it. What about the exfiltration, prompt exfiltration attack, where specific terminologies, specific terms are used to reverse engineer the AI model so that it can spill the training data set. Now, this training data set contains information about your customers, about your clients, about a lot could go wrong. And that is why it is important to, while developing the systems, to implement robust safety protocols, safeguards against this, because anything could go wrong. And now that we are even trying to, because we are in the stage of the artificial narrow intelligence, and we're already talking about the artificial general intelligence, the AGI, the human level intelligence, think about what could happen. We're not even talking about the ASI, the artificial superintelligence yet. These are some of the things that we should look at. And that is why some of the key practices, standard practices, encryption, it is very difficult to decipher the data collected, data used to train. Then we have anonymization, removing personally identifying information from this data. Then also having more like an access control mechanism whereby select people have access to the system. These are some of the best practices that will ensure that this doesn't happen. Then what are opportunities for business execs, dietitian, health tech professionals? Like we mentioned, streamlining operations, customer experience, innovation. Then dietitians could also use it to create customized meal plans and align nutritional data, provide personalized guidance. It's already happening already. This is what is happening already. Then for health tech professionals, integrating Gen AI into digital health platforms is a thing now. For some of us in the public health, the global health sector, this is a lot of proposals. In fact, if you want to win most grants, just bring in AI. How to integrate AI into one. I was writing one for, I was consulted to write one for a USAID grant. And I'm like, okay, Gideon, can we develop an AI system? How do we develop an AI system that will be part of this intervention that we are running? How do we help pregnant and lactating women? How do we ensure data accuracy? As part of the initiative of the governments, the big boys, the USAID agencies, the WHO, trying to build electronic health information systems for government. A lot of countries are keen into that, Uganda, Nigeria, and the likes. The governments are funding it, who are being funded by the bigger donors. These are opportunities whereby AI could be enhanced into the digital platform. Is an example trying to bring to my, just skipped my head. However, yes, so these are some of the examples. However, there are also challenges because the system fights back. The system fights back. So that is why, like I said, whether we like it or not, AI is here to stay. It is for those who want to key in that will reap the benefit of these systems, digital systems, interventions using artificial intelligence, even mental health counseling. We have a lot of innovations that are currently ongoing to counsel patients in the humanitarian field. Because as a humanitarian aid worker exposed to a lot of challenges, I've been in a conflict zone, been under fire, your mental health gets really messed up. How do we use tech to do that when in fact there is nobody to do it? These are avenues. Key stakeholders for successful implementation: data scientists who ensure data quality, model performance, subject matter experts who provide domain-specific knowledge, IT professionals with existing infrastructure, and then end users. I'll talk about existing infrastructure. I talked about the fact that it is really expensive to try to build the system from the scratch. You need a lot of compute power. A lot of compute power. You need technical knowledge out there. That is why I mentioned GCP, the AWS, and the like. And then we also have the open source solutions out there, just in case you feel like you have the technical manpower, you want to build this yourself. There are open source softwares out there that you don't have to spend. And then we have those that, of course, they are not open source. You pay for them. They are templated. They're just there. You just contextualize to your context. You use them, and that way you get to bypass most of these subject matter expert. But for those who really want to maintain it, they will need somebody to integrate these systems into the existing infrastructures using APIs, using whatever and whatnot, using data scientists, and then the end users being the customer base. I think these are the most important because they give you the data to train your model. These are the ones who give you feedback. These are the ones that tell you this is good, this isn't good. And so, yes, this should be looked at for a successful implementation, if at all. So what are some of the future trends in Gen AI? Sorry, I'm trying to see, not to over talk my time. Okay. The future trends in Gen AI, multimodal models. Yeah, it's already here. And these multimodal models, we know the likes of ChatGPT. It can give you a text response, a voice response. You can generate images. While others are just text-based, those guys can do a lot. They are already here. They are happening already. Then edge computing. Now, when we talk about edge computing, we are referring to technologies that serve as a gateway into an enterprise system or a service or a network. Could be your modem, your router, could be your printer. This serve as entry point. So the future is looking toward that direction, whereby this could become smart. Building AI systems into that means that easier, because imagine my router here built with an AI system that is able to automatically adjust. That's going to make my life really easy. Things I would normally go into my cPanel, my dashboard to adjust, it does it for me due to probably a prompt I have saved before. It does it for me, makes it very easy. So these are some of the things that we are looking at. Just recently, Anthropic just released a new update whereby the Claude AI system can be able to take actions. It is important to understand the difference between what is about to happen. We have AI systems that respond to your prompts. They give you code them, they give you response. Then we have agents that are given the power to take actions. Agents that are given the power to take actions. So what Anthropic just did is to develop a new agent Like their system can take actions on my computer. It can fill a job application form for me by just telling it, fill it. That brings us to the third part, the ethical AI developing system that align with human values and promote transparency and accountability. I mentioned the fact that we are in the artificial narrow intelligence, heading to the artificial general intelligence, and then maybe the artificial super intelligence. There's a lot at stake if the ethical principles are not adhered. How do we develop systems that align to our values? Which is the alignment problem. It is one of the biggest questions in AI safety right now. These problems have been there before, I like to say, but it is now becoming an existential crisis because we have everybody taking on technology without really thinking about the other side of it. Say, for instance, I have a robot. I tell this robot, take my cup, go and drop it in the kitchen. These computers are programmed to deliver. This robot looks for the shortest way to get this thing done. It calculates from here to the kitchen. It take a few seconds. Going through all the doors will take longer. And then he just blazes through the wall straight to the kitchen and drops it. And as people would say, AI system will do what you tell them, not what you want. So yes, it has achieved. But what about the fact that you don't have to break my wall down? You don't have to smash the TV on your way. So you have to code these principles, these values into the system. The popular example of an AI playing a chess game with a chess master, and he's told no matter what, win this game. And the AI says, okay, if his time counts down, he loses the game. I strangle him by the neck. He can't play. He loses his time. I win the game. These are the values. So how do we code these values? Because I want you to win this game doesn't mean you have to kill him. And these systems are so intelligent that in a very few years, we'll start talking about artificial general intelligence. How do we code that value? This is the human level intelligence. And you tell him, whatever happens, make sure this baby doesn't leave the house. And then you go to work. This baby doesn't leave the house. You didn't tell him alive or dead, right? And the baby tries and he kills the baby. Yeah, the baby is there. He didn't leave the house. Yeah. How do we code these values into the system? This is the biggest alignment problem. So these are some of the things we should consider when developing AI system. Well, this is on a broader scale, but in our businesses, in our activities, in our little endeavors, that is why these regulations coming, the EU AI Act, the AI Safety Institute popping up all over the world are there to regulate the development and deployment of AI system, just so that they are safe and not a harm to us. In conclusion, it is important for us to maximize that potential of AI to transform the food system, the health system, the industries. Professionals unlock a new level of efficiency. I can tell you that I work faster. I work faster than before. So what would take me a week to probably get done, I probably do it in 3 days as an individual. What about businesses? What about our health? Think about it. I don't have to go and meet the dietitian who probably is booked by 5 or 6 other clients. Even if she's able, how good can she do it when she's tired? We don't have a system that can do all of this. All the dietitian has to do is, okay, let us look at the system. Is this system giving correct diagnosis? Are the data right? So she isn't, if there's a need for one-on-one, she does one-on-one, but she does it really well, but she's not booked by so many clients. We are looking at it collectively in the health sector and the food and nutrition sector, because a lot of our problems, if you look at it, apart from resources, are a lot of our problems. And when I say resources, the human factor is there. The money is there. We need money to procure a lot. And if you can buy one to do the job of 3 or 4, you save a lot. If you have a system that can accurately diagnose a cancer that a doctor probably couldn't, you save a lot of lives. The applications of AI in health, in food, is so immense that if we start today, we can't finish. There is a new release of a chat diet. The chat diet is like ChatGPT, but just for food. What it does is it gives you recommendations, very good recommendations. That's all it does, recommendations. I will share the paper. I'll share the link to the paper, to some of these new innovations that are coming up in this industry. And we can see that the possibilities are endless. All we have to do is to pay close attention. What do I really need? How do I start? And then we tap into it. I think it's going to be very good for us. Thank you very much. And I'll take questions at this point.
Thank you very much for that, Gideon. That was a really great run through of things that we need to consider. And I already see some questions coming in for you. So I'll kick off just with one question at the beginning, because I think that the reason also why I was very interested in having this webinar is I attended a conference, nutrition conference, at the beginning of this year. And there were quite a lot of practitioners there, very much clinic focused, and they were really intrigued by this presentation that was given by Google. And the Google presentation was all about, cats and how cats, cat images are used for like the machine learning and the training. And really, when you then see the practitioners' angle, they stood up and said, "Oh well, how can I, make use of Gen AI, in my clinic?" So they really go from pen and paper to how do I get started in Gen AI? So I think there's a big gap in terms of, what it can do and what should be done. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about this concept of fear of getting started with Gen AI. Do you have any tips for people on, especially for executives, looking at if there is no Gen AI on the roadmap, or it's only a water bottle, water station conversation? What practical steps or things need to be considered when people come up with the concept of or the topic of fear of generative AI? What are the highlights in your experience that the keywords that should be mentioned to get the level down?
Yeah, so the popular saying is that people fear what they don't understand. So I think the first response is, I think AI literacy, webinars like this are really good starters, trying to understand the system. The good thing about this is you don't have to understand all the technical bits of it. You do not have to understand all the technical bits of it. You just have to have a need, a business need, and understand that, yes, we can be able to improve our business operation, this need, using AI. Then you look for a professional who will sit down and discuss your options with you. But like I said, it is not yet the magic bullet. AI is still evolving, it is still developing. So understanding that will make you go with a certain level of expectation, that you're not expecting everything to be perfect, because the truth is this system is still developing. Because it is still developing, nobody can guarantee 100% for you. But yes, we are already seeing improvements. So you still make some benefit, but understand that it's a learning phase. The truth is, none of us started this like this. We were learning along the way. So as a business, as a professional, a consultant, understand. Don't be scared, understand it, have a need, call a professional, sit down and discuss. You'll be good.
Great, thanks. And I saw hands coming up, and now I can't seem to find that, but I know Sunny, if you can unmute yourself and ask the question. I did see your hand up.
Well, I didn't actually have a question. I'd be happy to ask one. I was trying to find the reaction, like clap, good job, really enjoyed the presentation. Thanks. So, but anyway, Gideon, this was really excellent. Sorry, I'm not going to put my camera on. I'm in the US. It's still a little early for me. Really enjoyed the presentation. And you had mentioned that you had a list of companies and devices that you wanted to put up. I just wonder if you might just quickly flash those and just give us a sense of the organizations that you are seeing at that intersection of personalized nutrition and AI. And I'm assuming that these are ones that you think are doing this well.
Okay, I'd be happy to share that document or probably a link to that document. Uh, I'll share with Mariette, and then she would
We
share
can
the video
always
with
share it.
you.
Yeah.
That'll be good. But in the meantime, I do have a couple of links here. I'd post in the chat room or chat box. I don't know what that is, and then you can go through them. It gives a kind of a general basic explanation to Gen AI and everything you need to know, be it the assurance, the intersections in health, food nutrition, and AI. I think there's a lot of links there, so you could just go through.
That's great. I'll definitely use those. And then, since we are on this topic, you had also mentioned a project that you're working on early in the presentation where you are training specific, it sounded like training specific foundation models on nutrition information. Could you speak maybe a little bit more to that, since now there's more people that have questions. So you can choose to answer that, or you can skip it and go to them.
I'd be able to talk something about it quickly. So what we're doing is there's a platform. It's an OB Coach platform. It's a health and weight management platform.
I think it was it the humanitarian one?
Yes, that is correct.
It was the humanitarian. It was the Uganda one with the recipes where you trained the local food and everything.
Yes, exactly. That's fascinating.
For that, I think that was in Nigeria, not Uganda. That was in Nigeria. We developed recipes using the locally available foodstuffs in the region. We found that the cause of malnutrition in that place isn't because of the lack of availability of nutritious food. It is more like nutrition information, lack of dietary diversity, and the likes. So what we did was to develop recipes using available foodstuffs in the region that is acceptable and nutritious. Because this system, just like us, can develop a very good recipe for you, but there's that aspect of the context. Is it acceptable? Is it a taboo food? Would we want it? So in our case, we developed that. We did a sensory evaluation, a hedonistic test on that, got the community. We prepared all the foods. They tested, they gave us their feedback. This is good, this is not good, this is how I improve. We took that down, developed a recipe book incorporating the changes, and it was great. And they're nutritious food, they're cheap. So I was trying to draw a contrast to an AI system doing that instead of we going to the field physically and doing that. So you don't have to physically go to the field to get that done with the AI system. All you have to do is provide the same information to the AI system, bring about contextual information, taboo food, local custom norms. It develops something that is palatable for you. You will test it and say, okay, I like this, I don't like this. You give it feedback, it improves. So that's just what I was trying to say. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I cannot not say something else about that. That is so incredibly fascinating, Gideon. So I'm a dietitian, and I also work in AI. That, I think, is such a great example. And Mariette, I'm going to take a risk here and just say, doing another follow-on session that would help dietitians know how to engage with folks like Gideon in a meaningful way so that we can start to implement these really, really transformational and actually pretty easy types of solutions into our work would be incredible. And I'd be happy to help with that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks for those also who are asking the question, because now I can actually see the hands. So I will ask, is it Yummy to open your mic and ask a question?
Thank you, Mariette. Great session, Gideon. Very interesting. So I have many questions, but I'm just going to pick the most critical one, I feel, at least because I'm based in the EU. And that's regarding privacy concerns, right? So obviously, as AI is used, along with therapeutic interventions, right? Nutrition. It looks like the most efficient way to go forward is also to integrate biomarker details, if you will, of patients along with the nutrition information and have a feedback loop, right? What's your experience in that field, and would you have any advice or observations?
Now, when you start talking about biomarkers and integrating nutrition information, I get the sense you are going into the clinical nutrition aspect. that is not really my domain. I haven't done a lot of work in clinical nutrition and integrating AI. However, as a general rule of the thumb, integrating biomarkers is okay. The most important thing when it comes to privacy, is to ensure that personally identified informations are removed. Say, for instance, there's a data leak, and it is very easy to trace it to me. Oh, that's Gideon, the guy on LinkedIn. That's his information. It's a real problem. So you remove any personal identifying information, you encrypt the data. At least if somebody's going to steal my data, you might as well give him a hard time deciphering it, right? So these are some of the privacy steps you could take to ensure that, be it nutritional, be it public health, be it whatever you're doing, that your data is secure. The truth is you cannot 100% secure data because there's always a human aspect of it. But the most part is to do what is best, standard practice to ensure that your data is secure. So whether you choose to include biomarkers, as long as they are not easily identifiable, then it's okay. It's good. I hope I nailed that.
Okay, thank you.
Just add to that, Yami. I think that's a very important point because usually nutrition kind of falls within either the public health part or the wellness part or the clinical nutrition part. So this new kind of regulation will try and address this, that not anybody can just, integrate biomarkers and you're tracking health data essentially, and exactly how GDPR is really important that especially experts are highlighting this, this rapid revolution of AI, so that we protect customers or consumers in the end, because we are seeing more and more of this, the graying of the zone. So it's widening, and it's a really important topic. So it's very much important to know not only on what the regulation is, but also if there are requests to just integrate more data, just integrate more data, just get people to more share data. There is actually accountability and regulation attached to that. So very, very important point. Dr. Vyas?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Gideon and Mariette. I'm from India now, and I'm a practicing doctor. I'm working with integrative approach of nutrition and wellness solutions for reproductive health. So I'm working and I'm more interested to integrate AI in our practice and for users' benefit. So I would like to understand any regulatory things we have to look after before starting anything on international level, because we are catering to international clients as well. So please guide us on that. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I don't think that would be a very difficult one. First of all, the EU AI Act is there as your first guide, because yes, it's stipulate the kind of technologies and to what degree when you start developing an AI system within the EU space. I know the US hasn't really come out with something really robust like the EU AI Act, but actions are on the way to ensure that that something comes out that governs that. So for me, I'd advise that your starting point, it will be the EU AI Act. You should look at it and see what are the areas to which you can go to and what are the no-go areas, and to what degree, to what extent, to ensure regulatory compliance so that you can be able to do your practice over there. Then within your practice, I think it would be good to have an AI governance framework. This governance framework should be tailored to your specific use cases. This is because something bad wants to happen. The first question is going to be asked: do you even have a policy document? Do you have a framework that guides your practice? So that should be the very first thing. And the good thing about this is that there are a lot of documentation out there that we can contextualize from that would guide the development of artificial intelligence, so that we are working within the safe spaces that allows us to innovate while not also infringing the rights of their clients. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Gideon. And Dr. Vyas, I'll also plug that we've recently identified this area that more and more people in healthcare want to integrate, AI. And because of the AI Act, we've partnered with a legal firm that actually helps companies to comply with the GDPR and new AI Act regulation to be able to be safe and have the right documentation in place to actually deliver on those policies or new services that they want to develop. So happy if you send me a message and we can connect you as well.
Sure, thank you.
Right. Bogdan?
Hi, I'm Mariette and Gideon. So I'm a little confused regarding the validation of this type of diets, meal plans, which will be generated by artificial intelligence. Today, we are using the predefined diets, and we use a digital platform to provide these predefined diets to different type of people who want to understand very well the nutrition deficiencies between their diets and their nutrigenetic profile. And I think to integrate artificial intelligence in this process, to do not use only predefined diets and to update with the user needs, to use artificial intelligence. But today, we are doing that we use predefined diets validated by dietitians. If we will integrate artificial intelligence in our algorithms, we will face with the challenge to validate this by an organism, by dietitians. So, do you have some experience in this area? How this type of service solutions, which use artificial intelligence, could be validated?
Did you hear that clearly, Gideon? So Bogdan has got a system that helps to provide, correct me if I'm wrong, Bogdan, if I hear, the line wasn't very clear, but essentially it's looking at providing advice, but also looking at identifying nutritional deficiencies based on the tracking data of the individuals. So the question is, how do you validate whatever the AI is pushing out in terms of the accuracy of the recommendations and the identification of deficiencies? Is that correct, Bogdan?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is where the human experts come into play. Like I said, when I mentioned there has to be human oversight. We don't take everything from the AI as the holy sayings, you know. So this is where you bring human. Even right now in the AI systems we are developing, when these AI systems have been developed, you have human experts who evaluate its performance. They evaluate how good is it acting according to plan, is it really generating like we would want it. So also you would need experts who are dietitians, who are nutritionists, who are medical doctors, who can sit down and look at these recommendations and say, okay, this recommendation is okay, it can go ahead. This is because if there's a lawsuit, it isn't going to be the AI that would sit there and judge you, my friend. It is going to be the human expert. So sorry, that was just a lighter note though. But you need human experts there to evaluate. How they want to evaluate that is entirely up to you and your team and your goals, but you cannot exclude the role of the experts in this.
So the bottom line is, within that team, you need the domain experts at the table. What I hear a lot now is that some companies already have their recommendations and chatbot and everything, and then they take the whole file to the experts and say, now you check if the system did it correctly, rather than being at the beginning. And I think that's a very important lesson.
Another thing, when I was trying this, the chatbot, developing chatbots for personalized response, what I did in my case was, so because you have to train it on data, you have to feed it data, scholarly articles. So I used research articles that have been approved and out there in the public domain and trained it on that data. This is because the assumption is whatever you spill should come from that knowledge. You are training the system. So in that case, whatever comes out, it is assumed to be verified. It is assumed to be right. Yes, this is because in any other case, you could go to those articles and make decisions on them, and no questions are asked. But it does not still change or remove the fact that human expert should be there. This is because, like I said, the challenge is the risk of model poisoning is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could get this data, train it on this data. What if there was a mistake in that report? What if you probably didn't copy it well and pasted it there? And then the model is trained on a data that's disfigured. And so the model starts to hallucinate. These are possibilities. That is why you cannot remove the human oversight aspect of it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I've certainly learned a few words. The words I picked up was modeling poisoning, model poisoning, prompt denial, prompt injection, certainly new terms. And I'm sure everybody's picked up some tips, hopefully some lessons, some key inspirations on how you can get started or where you need to start, especially for Qina. What we did was really just look at everything that we do. If there are tasks that you're doing all the time, think about AI. Think about how can I optimize, and start there. Start with the things that are already on your plate rather than dreaming up a solution to solve the world's problem on Mars. Think about your day-to-day, start, test it, check the feedback, improve, and that's how you get confident, and that's how you start learning. So that's so much information. Yes.
Thank you very much. That is a good starting point. Repetitive tasks could be automated.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can improve.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for all your insights. I just want to share a few things. So with Gideon, so we're going to send out an email after this with that reference link that he mentioned, also his contact details. If anyone wants to contact, you can also re-watch the webinar. And any questions that are maybe outstanding, you can also send them over to us, and then we will pass them over to Gideon. If there's anything that we can help with, we'll also send that out as well. So I just wanted to also just share here a few of the of what's coming up next. Our next webinar, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Our next webinar will be on the 7th of November. We have 4 experts also within the industry. So Luke has got extensive industry experience also in nutrition. Josh is based in the US, also in personalized nutrition and nut covers. And so we will be talking about some of the lessons and failures that we've learned in the industry, and also looking, what's happened in the past, what can we pass on to as we plan for a future that is really looking towards kind of Gen AI and how that will shape the future of the industry. So do make sure that you look out for your emails, that you also register. You will get some emails just as a diary hold as well, that you can join us. And then finally, just to make sure, we also have a subscription, of course, the Qina services. The Elevate plan includes 40 weekly newsletters where we cover every week the latest research, innovations, consumer trends, industry trends, also an annual trend report, and we will be including one of these webinars every single month so that we stay updated with what's happening in the industry. The price of this plan will go up in January, so do make sure you sign up so you can always stay updated, and of course make sure that you keep in touch with what we are doing also at Qina. So with that, I'm just going to, I just want to go back to my screen. So with that, I thank you so much for your attendance and your questions, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you so much, Gideon, for sharing your expertise, and we'll definitely have you back for another session. Okay, thanks, A.